Okay, thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon. My name is Ashlyn Levitt, and I'm the Assistant Director of Events and Volunteer Management here in Grand Valley's Alumni Relations Office. Through our partnership with Consumers Credit Union, we have invited you to join us for lunch as we dive deeper into a variety of key financial topics. Together, over the next 8 weeks, we will learn about identity theft, credit reports, credit scores, home ownership, and mortgages. Before I introduce today's presenters, I do have a couple quick Zoom keeping notes. This presentation will be recorded and will be accessible on our Alumni Career and Life Stage Resource Library after today's event. Please feel free to submit questions using the chat function. I'll monitor those throughout the event, and at the end of each section, our presenters will take questions. We'll also leave some additional time for questions at the end. Our program is planned to wrap up right before 1 p.m. With that, I would like to thank our friends at Consumers Credit Union for partnering with us today to bring you this series. Today's program is led by Sarah Bailey, who is a fellow 2018 GVSU alumni, and Jessie Smeltzer. Correct me if I said that wrong. Jessie and Sarah, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thank you. Okay, Sarah, do you have sharing rights right now that I can have?
I'm not sharing.
Okay,
Give me just 1 second, guys. Sorry.
no problem.
Oh, Jessie, it looks like you are actually sharing.
Fantastic. Okay. All right, well, we will dive in here. So I wanted to go over really quickly the schedule here that we have coming up. So today with identity theft, coming up October 8th is credit reports and scores. On October 22nd, we'll have considering home ownership, and then November 5th, mortgages. So definitely take some time to sign up if any of those interest you. And again, my name is Jessie Smeltzer. I'm the card operations team lead here at Consumers Credit Union. I've been with the credit union for about 5 years. I graduated from Grand Valley with a Bachelor of Arts in communication with an emphasis in photography. So super happy my life journey has led me here because I am really weirdly interested in fraud and disputes. And then Sarah, if you have any other info you'd like to give on yourself.
So I graduated with a history degree. I never thought I'd be a banker, but here I am and I love my job.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to jump into identity theft. So your identity is a valuable piece of information, and identity theft and identity fraud are fast-growing crimes. Some people may think that identity theft is what happens when someone steals your credit or debit card, but actually, identity theft is much broader. It can involve someone impersonating you, using your personal information to open bank accounts, withdrawing money from your accounts, or even taking out loans in your name. By the end of today's workshop, you should be able to learn how to identify the signs of identity theft and fraud, examine different types of identity theft and fraud, identify strategies to protect yourself from identity theft and fraud, and then also learn how to protect your data using safe habits. What do you know about identity theft? Here's a poll question for you. True or false? There's a victim of identity theft every 2 seconds. And you're more likely to have your identity stolen than have your vehicle stolen or home burglarized. The answer is true. Identity theft is more common than most of us think. We will learn more about identity theft in this workshop, along with some ways we can protect ourselves from this growing issue. Identity theft and identity fraud are terms used to refer to all types of crime in which someone wrongfully obtains and uses another person's personal data in some way. Identity fraud occurs when someone's personal information is used to access money, while identity theft is when personal information is accessed, even if it isn't used for financial gain. Identity fraud and identity theft can happen to anyone, but some people may be more at risk than others, and Sarah might touch on that a little later today. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, men and women are equal targets for identity theft, and adults over the age of 60 are at increased risk for identity theft. When someone steals your identity to impersonate you, they open new accounts, take out loans, rack up debt. You can suffer long-lasting consequences. Sarah, do you have anything to add here about long-lasting consequences?
So I'm not sure how long ago it was my identity was stolen, but somebody started advertising places for rent on Craigslist, and I still, it's been at least 5 years. I'm still getting text messages today asking me, "Hey, about that property on Oakland Avenue," and I have to tell them, "You're replying to a scam. I never have sold houses."
That's awful. So identity theft can cost you time, money, and reputation. Once your identity is stolen, depending on how many accounts and services you have, you'll need to contact each bank, change each password, and notify all your credit card companies. This process may take you one day or it could last for years, depending on how complex the identity theft was. Once an identity thief has your personal information, what can they do with it? Identity thieves will often use stolen personal information in several ways. Identity thieves may use your information to open new accounts with credit card companies, financial institutions, or even services such as cable, telephone, utilities, and public benefits. Identity thieves may also use stolen identity information to make transactions on your existing accounts. The thief may use the card or account itself to make purchases and rack up debt. In some cases, in my position, I see where thieves can gain access to personal information to verify with fraud companies or people who do third-party fraud monitoring that something was their transaction. And then the fraudulent transactions just start rolling in. So it can be really scary. In cases of identity theft, thieves may commit fraud by using your personal information to engage in criminal activity. They may, for example, present your identity as their own to police if they're caught doing something illegal, or they may use it to commit cybercrimes. If your medical identity is stolen, thieves may use it to get personal prescriptions, visit medical professionals, or receive expensive treatment. This type of theft has financial costs, but it can also affect your medical history. Now that you know what identity thieves can do to steal your identity, let's look at what they may be after in order to accomplish this. When identity thieves look to steal your identity, the first thing that they need to find is your personally identifiable information, or PII. Personally identifying information is anything that's used to distinguish or identify you. Identifying information can fall into four main areas: biographical, medical, biometric, and financial. So let's go to the worksheet called My Identity on page 3 of your participant guide. What types of things do you think would be included in each of these categories? Each of each one of us has a lot of information about ourselves that we've already provided to organizations and individuals. Do you know what information about you has been shared? Let's try a simple experiment. Using the worksheet, think about and write down the types of data and information in each category that could be at risk for identity theft. I'll give you a second here to check that out. But in the meantime, Sarah, do you think do you have any to add here to these four quadrants in the participant guide?
I biographical data I think is probably the most common that's stolen. So that's like your driver's license information, your social security number, um, even your phone number, your cell phone number. What what they got from me was my name, my address, and my phone number, probably from a contest I entered because I was a poor college student and I wanted money to live.
Yeah, totally understandable. I can relate to that as well. Luckily, identity hasn't been stolen yet, knock on wood, but honestly, these days it's kind of not a matter of if it'll happen, it's a matter of when, unfortunately.
Yeah, and different companies with different breaches. It's so important to stay up on your information, like getting your credit report and all that, which we'll go into later.
Yep, absolutely. A couple other things I can think of are like my medical data is all on the internet now with like a digital charting system. And then my phone's got some of my biometric data, and obviously online banking is one of our pride and joys, and so that's all online as well. So although extremely secure. You know, we're constantly putting our financial data in other websites as we make purchases, and it's easy for those websites to be easily accessed or to be spoofed. Okay, so with that, we'll move on a little bit. Many people don't realize how much of their information is actually out there. Identity thieves can impersonate you just by knowing your name and address, or they can gain access to your credit cards, bank accounts using more sophisticated tools. Depending on the types of information you share on social media, they can even guess your passwords or answers to security questions. Okay. There are different types of personal information that thieves can use to steal your identity. Important information such as your social security number, driver's license, passport, passwords, credit report, marriage or divorce records, tax documents, bank account information, and email accounts can all be misused. Before we take a move on, I just want to check and see if anyone had any questions.
We did get one question come through the chat. Joe said, it seems like the latest breach released virtually everyone's social security number. Is it even possible to protect this info going forward?
You know, it's extremely tough, depending on where it's been put in the past, but in the future, you can be really cautious about where you put your social security number. I think we can all kind of think of some websites that are more trusted than others. But I think for now, you know, the fact that it might already be out there, the best thing you can probably do is go freeze your credit report and keep it frozen until you need something in the future. But that's a really great question. I know it's not easy to do anymore, is to keep it safe.
Thank you, Jessie. Just another note, the participant guide is in the chat if anyone would like to access it that way. We will also send it out in the follow-up email.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so let's see, go back real quick here. How do identity thieves get a hold of your PII? Let's take a look at some of the typical methods next. You may think identity theft happens mostly online, but there are many non-technological methods thieves can use to steal your identity as well. Most common non-technological methods thieves use to access your data are theft, dumpster diving, shoulder surfing, and skimming. Many times thieves use personal theft to steal your identity, and they may steal your purse or wallet from you and use your information in your wallet to steal your identity. I just found that on Amazon, they sell these screen protectors that are kind of make a limited line of vision on your left or right side. So only if the phone's in front of you, you can see the screen. That's been a pretty exciting thing for me to have to prevent some shoulder surfing. And also, I honestly really hope you're not a victim of theft, but in case that you are, it's important to keep in mind some precautions in case your personal property is stolen. Do not carry PIN numbers in your wallet or other passwords to access your accounts, and definitely don't write your PIN number on your card. Do not carry your social security card in your wallet. Only carry checks when you need them. You'd think that most identity theft comes from personal theft, but identity theft can also occur from dumpster diving. Dumpster diving is when someone goes through your trash or recycling and looks for discarded bills, pre-approved credit card offers, or documents that contain personally identifiable information. To discourage dumpster diving, make sure you completely shred any sensitive documents before tossing them. Choose a crosscut shredder over a strip cut one because it makes it more difficult for thieves to piece together documents. And luckily, Consumers Credit Union has shred bins at each of their offices. So it's a great way to stop in and take all of your sensitive information. And a bonus for me is that the information that gets shredded gets recycled. So I love that. So shoulder surfing is when thieves peek over your shoulder to record you entering sensitive information, such as credit card numbers, passwords, or PINs. Always be aware of your surroundings and cover your phone screen or ATM keypad when entering such information. Identity theft via mail occurs when thieves steal personal mail out of your mailbox. Another way thieves steal your mail is by rerouting it. Once they know your address, changing it is as easy as logging into the US Postal Service website and filling out an online form. I would recommend trying not to ever use your personal mailbox to send mail. If you can, take it right to the post office. That's the safest way to get things through the mail. And then what I do is I actually signed up for something called the USPS Delivery Digest, and it sends me an email every day with what's coming in the mail. So I'll know pretty quickly if it's been stolen or altered. It sends me a picture of the envelope. It's pretty cool. Once the mail is redirected to an address by the thief, he or she can sort through your mail by looking for valuable information. Identity thieves can also steal your information by using low-tech scenarios, like going through your mail and opening your bills and even discarded bills. They can access your name, address, and even tax or medical information. It's important to keep or properly destroy mail that contains your personally identifiable information by shredding these documents. Identity thieves can also use a method known as skimming to collect your information. Skimming occurs when a thief installs an illegal device known as a skimmer into gas pumps, ATMs, or credit card machines to capture your data. When you swipe your card in a skimmer, a device collects all your information. To avoid having your card skimmed, look at the device you're about to use and ensure there's not a skimmer on it. Examples can be found online. And also cover the PIN pad when inputting security codes at your ATMs. Try to maintain possession of your card and keep it in sight at all times. Cards are more of my specialty here, so there is even a newer system that thieves are using called a shimmer, and they're inserting a device right inside the card reader. It's nearly impossible to detect without a third-party tool. So I would suggest, as much as possible, tap your card or use your digital wallet to keep your card information safe. The second thing they do when they install a shimmer is they typically put a camera somewhere on the machine that's really hard to see also. It blends kind of right in with the normal marketing that's around the terminal, and it can capture your PIN number from there. Okay, I'll pause again for questions here before we move on.
We did have a question in the chat of what is skimming, so I think you
Oh,
answered that, which is
okay.
great. One other question that came through is wondering if you have a link to sign up for the USPS service that you referenced.
Oh, sure, I can definitely find that. I'll drop that in the chat here in a little while.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, we did have one more just pop in too.
Great.
How would you know what to look for when searching for a skimmer?
Typically there's a large device that's put over the area where the card reader goes into, and it looks a little MacGyvered. It looks a little MacGrubered. They can be kind of big and bulky, and they don't fit on there tightly. So sometimes I'll just physically jiggle the device before I put my card reader in, and I can tell that there's an external device on it. But like I said, with shimmers, something that's shimmed into the machine, it's nearly impossible to tell. They're getting very good at it. So unfortunately, just touching it isn't always a good option, but that usually can tell me whether something's on the machine.
Thank you.
Great questions. Okay, identity thieves can use many methods and techniques to steal your identity, but in general, common scams including phishing scams, telephone scams, and elder fraud scams. More sophisticated identity thieves can use technological methods to access your data. The most common method is known as phishing. Some of you may have received a phishing email, and I have a feeling that all of you have received these and texts as well. For example, an email that appears to be from your bank but isn't. Phishing is when a scammer uses fraudulent emails or texts or copycat websites to get you to share valuable personal information. The scammer may include requests from people pretending to be a friend or family member who needs financial help. Phishing scams include emails where thieves will often send out fake emails impersonating a company that you do business with, such as your bank or credit card company, or they will reach out through email to pretend that they're protecting you from a virus or malware allegedly detected on your computer. Telephone scams occur in a variety of ways, whether it's a telemarketer calling you with a special limited time offer to people impersonating the government, officials, banks, or credit card companies. Elder fraud scams are also common. These scams can range from Medicare to health insurance scams, funeral and cemetery scams, and power of attorney scams, and more. Now that we know that thieves can gain access to our data, let's look at the inner workings of some common scams. Remember, these are just some of the more common scams that are out there. We'll talk about some of these common scams. So let's begin with phishing because it's a huge one. We talked about this a little bit earlier. It's a scam where a thief pretends to be a legitimate company and tries to collect your personal information. Whenever you receive an email or a text message asking you to click on a link to reset your password, update your credit card information, or enter your social security number or other personal info, there's a few steps you can take to ensure the email is authentic. The first thing that I like to encourage our members to do is just to call us and send it to somebody, and we can usually pretty quickly tell if it's a phishing email. But here's a couple things you can do on your own. Check the email address it was sent from. Does it match the email address used by the company or bank it's supposedly from? In this case, that's up on the screen here. I can see obviously it's pointed out that National Bank is spelled incorrectly. Look for subtle differences in spelling, email address providers, or individual names. For example, if it's from a financial institution, make sure the email address is something like johndoe@acmebank.com and not johndoe@amcebank.com or johndoe@gmail.com. Check the language used in the greeting. How's the message addressed to you? For example, an email from a trusted financial institution will be more likely to address you by your name and not dear member or valued client. Check the language of the rest of the message. Is the language what you would expect from the sender, or is it overly formal, threatening, or too general? Is the message itself written poorly? Are there spelling errors or grammatical mistakes? Is the person asking for something unusual? It could be your social security number or bank account number, or a person could be asking for a large sum of money to be wired or wanting to share a large lottery or financial windfall. Usually urgent, usually this request will be time sensitive or urgent according to the sender. And check before you click on any attachments or before you click any links. Ask yourself if you are expecting any attachments from the sender and examine the link and the file extension carefully as it could contain malware. If there's any doubt about the legitimacy of the email, do not open the attachment. If you have any doubts, contact your financial institution directly, like I mentioned earlier, to ask about the possible phishing email. Taking this step can prevent a lot of future pain for you and for others. Okay, now we'll do a little phishing activity here. So on page 4 of your participant guide called Common Identity Theft Scams, we'll complete this phishing email activity. We'll read the email and then you can go ahead and circle some of the things in your participant guide that look fishy to you. So this email is from yahoo.com and it's to janesmith@gmail.com. The subject's called Change Your Password. It says, Dear customer, we noticed that you sign in from a different computer. Please log in using this link to verify your password, www.yahoo.com. If you do not verify this information within 24H, your account will be permanently deleted. Best, the Yahoo team. So take a quick second here and circle some of the items that you see that don't look right. Sarah, I bet you're pretty good at this too. Do you have any input on what you see that doesn't look good here?
Well, I think you already said the Yahoo one with 3 O's. Obviously, yeah. I mean, I remember the Yahoo commercials, but that would be more O's than 3. No, no, Yahoo only spells it with the 2 O's. Another thing that's going to be big in all of the examples that we give you is the urgency. If you don't verify this in 24 hours, you'll be permanently deleted. It's the urgency. They want you to act now without thinking. So if you take a deep breath, if you get an email like this, kind of look it over and think about it. Most are pretty easy to detect.
That's great. And probably my personal favorite about this example is that they're sending it to janesmith@gmail, clearly not a Yahoo user.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so I'll take one more pause for questions and then I'll hand it on over to Sarah.
Absolutely. So a couple questions came in here. How do you find personal info that's online where you don't want it or have not authorized it to be? And how would you remove it?
There are a couple services out there that can do this for you. I don't have any that I can recommend confidently right now, but I think if you do some research, there are places that will basically do a scan of the entire internet, and you can take your information off places like People Finder or some of those more sketchy websites. So take a look around, but definitely do your due diligence before signing up for anything.
I was told my social security number is showing up on the dark web. It was recommended that I contact the Department of Social Security. Is this the best way to proceed? I have frozen my credit report.
That's definitely a smart first step, but I would ask how you were told that, because that also could be a phishing attempt. So definitely feel free to get in contact with me. We can talk more about that, because that would be my first pause. But
And
yeah,
we'll be
so
sharing contact information after today's program, so you will be able to contact our participants directly with any very specific questions that you might have. One more question here in the chat. Years ago, the law was nobody could require me to give out my social security number except for payroll purposes. As a computer programmer working at a university in the 1970s, I had to write some computer code that would assign a student a dummy social security number if they did not want to give out their social security number. Recently, I have encountered businesses such as T-Mobile who refuse to do business with me unless I give out my social security number. Do you know if that law was repealed?
ooh, that's a great question. I'm not sure about that. I might have to get back to you there.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the law, but companies like T-Mobile, they're extending credit to you. So also when you're applying for any kind of credit, you're going to give your social security number. That's the only way as a loan officer myself, the only way I can look at your credit report is if you give me your social security number. And those are required for giving out credit, at least with legitimate financial institutions.
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that additional insight, and I'm sure Mike does as well.
Okay,
That's it for our
fantastic.
questions.
Thank you so much. Okay, Sarah, I'll hand it over to you to share and continue on.
All right. Is that showing up right? All right. So many phone scammers also operate via the telephone.
Oh, I'm
Next,
sorry, Sarah, we can't see your
is it not?
screen quite yet. Nope.
One of these days I'll learn how to use Zoom. Um,
Oh, can you guys all see Sarah? It sounds like they might be able to. Would you mind putting in the chat if you can see her screen okay? She's sharing her slides. There we go. Now
oh,
we
there
can
we
see it. There might have been a lag. Thank
Yay.
you.
All right. Uh, where was I? Okay. So scammers like to use the telephone. So we're going to look at phone scams next. So let's read over this conversation on the screen and let's think about some potential red flags. Hello, Mrs. James. You are the lucky winner of the $1 million lottery. Congratulations. All you need to do is verify your identity with your social security number and provide us with details of your bank account where we can wire the money. I'm not supposed to tell you this, but if you act now, we should be able to waive all the taxes. I've got the paperwork right here. Let's get started. Give me your social security number. So, I mean, you can, if you have any ideas, feel free to throw them in the chat there of different red flags. But uh, basically, the scammers are gonna try to collect personal information, usually financial information. So that includes like bank account numbers, your social security number, all of those sorts of things. Again, they've got that urgency. Act now, and we'll waive the taxes. So you want to make sure that you're kind of taking a deep breath and is this legitimate? So you want to listen for the content. Like they're talking about winning the lottery, a sweepstakes, or a contest. But did you enter that contest? Uh, they'll talk about increasing your chances and give you some kind of too good to be true prize. The scammer wants to get your credit card number and financial information as quickly as possible and get you off the line so that they can do bad things with your financial information. So again, listen for that urgency. Do they pressure you to make that decision right now? I need that right now. If you do it right now, we'll offer you this. Or you have to act now in order for us to be able to do this. So they'll offer to drop fees like shipping and handling, or in this case, they'll waive the taxes. Um, Different companies are not able to waive taxes. That's the IRS's job, and they never waive taxes. So listen to what they're asking for. Do they want you to give you your whole social security number, or do they ask you to confirm it? Do they ask you to wire money or transfer cash in any other way? Most scammers are strangers who don't know the victim. But some phone scammers will look up information about the victim's family or pretend to be a third party to appear to be more credible in their scams. But some scam artists can even be acquaintances, friends, or even family. So now with AI can also spoof on the voices of loved ones for their victims. So if you look at this phone scam activity, uh, he says, hi, I'm friends with your nephew. He's in trouble with the law and needs your help. He got arrested last night and now he's in jail. He needs bail money before he can be released. It's a long story, but he asked me to call you instead of his parents because he's embarrassed about what happened to him. He needs you to wire money in the next hour from Western Union. It's important that you send this money right away. So what are some red flags here? And Jesse, feel free to pop in if you if you want to.
Yeah, for sure. I don't have a nephew, but I can imagine if I did, his first call might not be to a friend, if I'm the one with the money. So that's kind of a red flag for me, but maybe he wouldn't want to talk to me about it. I don't know. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
wiring money is never good news,
and
especially in an hour.
yeah, and it's that urgency and peace too. Like,
Mhm,
yeah, why would your nephew not call you directly? Why would he waste his one phone call on his friend?
mhm,
Um, so phone scams are often on, a lot of the victims are on senior citizens. We've seen some examples of phone scams. So let's look at other ways that seniors can be targeted. Be aware that your elderly friends and relatives eh, are 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 especially susceptible to scams. Seniors own large assets like houses, cars. They'll have pensions, 401ks, and other benefits that make them attractive targets for identity thieves. So, an identity thief might be a stranger who tries to befriend a senior, might be a professional who has access to the senior's home, might even be a friend or a family member. One of the more common ways in which thieves target seniors is by abusing power of attorney. So if you are a senior or the caretaker of a senior, be aware of anyone asking for your power of attorney or asking to get power of attorney. If you don't know what power of attorney is, that's a legal document that gives an individual the power to make decisions on behalf of a principal. So in this case, a principal would be like the senior citizen. Um, Scams often involve those financial decisions. Someone who has power of attorney over you or over grandma can make those decisions on grandma's behalf and essentially steal grandma's money. Um, Often seniors are going to need help with their everyday finances. I think of my mom passed a few years ago, and she was the one who did all of the household finances. My dad had to relearn how to do those things, and if he didn't have all of his faculties, he might have had to hire somebody, which would have left him susceptible. Um, Sometimes a senior might grant a family member or a close friend power of attorney. Anyone who's granted power of attorney has a legal obligation to act in the senior's best interest. But as we know, some people don't do that. So let's take a look at this scenario, um, and let's talk about the red flags. So at 87, Mr. Ali lives alone in his house. His wife passed away 10 years ago, and his children live in a different state. Recently, he met a young man named Steve who said he was Mr. Ali's long-lost nephew. Steve quickly moved into Mr. Ali's house and helped him with his daily chores. Mr. Ali was very grateful, and so he agreed to give Steve power of attorney so he could also help him manage household finances. So some of the red flags there. First of all, Mr. Ali, he'd never met Steve, and he never bothered to get the proof to confirm that he was indeed his long lost nephew. And then the fact that Steve also moved into Mr. Ali's house so quickly, that's pretty questionable. So when he gives Steve his power of attorney, he's essentially giving away his financial rights. And then in this scenario, Mrs. Garcia, she's 78 years old when she gave her niece Angela power of attorney. Recently, Mrs. Garcia has become quiet and sad. She doesn't leave the house for her daily walks anymore. Her neighbors noticed that Angela bought a new expensive car and claimed it was for her aunt. Angela is also making plans to remodel and expand the guest room, and she plans to move in. Since it's her aunt's house, she intends to use her aunt's money to pay for the expenses. When Angela's not around, Mrs. Garcia complains that some of her things are missing. So red flags there. And feel free to add them to the chat. But things like Mrs. Garcia's change in attitude and her behavior. She doesn't go out on walks anymore. She's become quiet and sad. She's complaining about things being missing. Angela purchased an expensive car. She's using her aunt's money on expensive remodels. If you know how to spot a scam like this, it's important, especially, we all have elderly family that we care about or friends that we care about. It can be very difficult to when you're facing this situation. If you look at page 8 on your participant guide, it gives you that the www.identitytheft.gov. That's very important. You can find out more details on the scams and different red flags there. I highly recommend taking a look at that website. So any questions before we move on to other special cases of identity theft?
We'll give it just a minute to see if any roll in, but right now there are not any.
Okay. Take a little drink of water break.
Perfect. All right, seems like you're good to go, Sarah.
Right. So let's talk about different special cases of identity thefts. Identity thieves are going to target their victims based on their ability to get their financial data and the ability to exploit it. So here we're going to look at some special types of identity theft that you should be aware of. First of all, being child identity theft. So children are a growing target population among identity thieves. Children have social security numbers that can be stolen. Other personal information like their names, home addresses, can be used for thieves to open accounts, apply for credit cards and use credit cards, or even apply for social benefits. So how do thieves get this information? The same way they get information from adults: dumpster diving, getting discarded documents, online scams, phone scams, stolen property. And then, of course, you've got unfortunate scenarios such as family or friends who would take advantage of a child's identity and put the child's information at risk. If you ever receive a call regarding unpaid taxes or unpaid bills that are in your child's name, or if you're applying for government benefits and get turned down, it could be a sign that your child's identity has been stolen. But as adults are able to request a free credit report, you can also request one for your child. Or if your child's a little bit older, they can request one as well. Always a good idea to monitor your credit report. So if you're able to do that, even with your children, once a year you get it for free. Another special case would be medical identity theft. So medical identity theft, it occurs when a thief uses your medical identity to gain access to healthcare, get prescriptions, claim insurance benefits. So thieves can retrieve this information from dumpster diving. You can get that from discarded bills and medical records. Also, data breaches, hacks into medical offices and hospitals. So if you receive a medical bill for treatment you didn't receive, that might not be the hospital's fault. That might be an identity theft or a red flag for identity theft. Insurance claims, if you see insurance claims on a condition that you don't have, or debt collection for an unpaid medical bill that you're not responsible for, it could be a sign that a thief is using your medical identity. And you can see that by downloading your credit report. If there's unpaid medical debt, it will be there on your credit report. Um, it- Medical identity theft is a little extra harmful, because when your medical history becomes entwined with that of the thief, it increases the chance of misdiagnosis, wrong meds, even denial of services or denial from your insurance. So find out how your doctor, hospital, or medical care centers discard your sensitive information. You can also request a document called an accounting of disclosures. That's basically lets you know with whom and when a medical service might share your information with a third party. Hopefully, your medical services don't share your information with any third parties. If you notice any errors in your billing or records, then immediately you want to take those steps to correct them. You can contact your medical practitioner and let them know, hey, this wasn't me. And then finally, there's tax identity theft. So once thieves have access to your social security number and your name, they can file a tax return using your identity. So if you receive a notice from the IRS on your tax preparer about multiple tax filings, or if there's suspicious details in your IRS records, especially around employment or earnings history, identity theft might be committing tax fraud. In that case, you want to contact the IRS. Then, so some different red flags. Again, you can go to page 5 of your participant guide if you've got that open. It's gonna go over some of these. Um, you you probably won't be able to prevent all cases of identity theft. But if you review these red flags and kind of take a moment to think about some of the things that you can do, you can protect yourself against identity theft. Any questions?
Yeah, we had just one roll in. It is, what are the best places to go to get a free credit report?
It's isn't it like freecreditreport.com, I believe is one. You can contact TransUnion, Equifax, and oh, what's the third one? You can contact the credit bureaus directly and they'll send you a copy of your credit report.
Experian.
Experian, thank you.
Thank you. We did have another question come in. Thinking about dumpster diving and its connection to identity theft. One of the things I struggle with the most is how to remove personal information off packages that come in a plastic bag, or if the information is printed directly on the plastic bag. What suggestions do you have for disposing of this information safely? I have been cutting my personal information off the plastic bag and then cutting the plastic into many pieces. However, it's not very environmentally friendly. Any other suggestions?
If you get a shredder, I always recommend the cross-cut ones and not the ones that are just the up and down lines, because the cross-cut ones, it's harder to piece those together. You can still recycle plastic that's been cut up. I think Jessie mentioned earlier, every single consumer's credit union office has a shredder. You can bring your junk mail in and throw it in the shredder, and it's a secured shredding process that we offer as a free service to all of our members. Um, if you're not a member with us, talk to your financial institution, see if they offer it, or just become a member with us. I save all my junk mail and I bring in boxes of it at a time and dump it in our shred bins. So it's definitely a service that we like to provide for the community.
Thank you. That's it for our questions right now.
All right. I thought a question might be, well, how do I protect myself from identity theft? So you want to monitor your credit reports and scores. So there's the website there, annualcreditreport.com. So like we said before, you're entitled to one free credit report from each of the 3 credit bureaus every year. Monitor your financial statements, your bank statements, credit card statements, 401k statements. Review your financial transactions carefully, and make sure if you see any errors or things that you don't agree with, like, I don't recognize spending $20 at this website. Talk to your financial institution, and the sooner you do it, the sooner we can help you get your money back. If it's something that you honestly didn't do. Every bank that I've ever worked for, every credit union has a way to put in those disputes and help you recover some losses. It's not always possible, but we do everything we can to help you recover it. You want to practice online safety. So log into your email and your online banking accounts regularly and make sure to change your passwords every couple of months. Use strong passwords that are difficult to guess. Um, if your password is 8 characters, consider changing it to 10 or 12 characters. Longer passwords are harder to guess and more difficult to crack. Um, don't click on links or download files from unknown or suspicious senders, like those phishing emails that we talked about earlier. Don't click that just because uh, that's how they get your information. They sometimes will lead you to different sites that look legit, but really all they're doing is collecting your information. Try not to use public Wi-Fi to send and receive sensitive documents or to log into your online banking. If you're at at the library, don't log into the library computer to pay your credit card bill. That's something you can do at home or, when you're not out in public and on public Wi-Fi. Um, be aware of your surroundings. So at the ATM, cover up the PIN pad when you're entering your PIN information. If you use your debit card at the pump when you pay for gas, cover that up when you're entering it. Or use the tap and go if you have that feature with your debit card. Keep an eye out for shoulder surfers, the people that like to look over your shoulder. Those are the people in high school that tried to cheat off of your math test. Don't let them get away with it. Um, don't use public Wi-Fi to access sensitive information. If you're on a private computer or on a private network, it should be okay, but those ones that are public and out in the open, they're great for surfing the internet. They're great for checking your Facebook, but it's not really great for checking your bank account. Don't click unknown links. Those can take you to fraudulent websites. I think I already said that. And then don't open suspicious attachments. If you get something from a financial institution, uh, or even if you're at work and you get something that looks like it's from an important person, just double check that that's indeed the person that sent it to you. It might not be easy, like in the example that we had a few slides ago, might not be easy to notice that the I was missing from National Bank. Always best to double check with the person who supposedly sent it. And then identity theft, of course, is a crime. And then there are a couple of laws that we do know about that protect you. You're entitled to certain protections. So one being like the Identity Theft and Assumption Deterrence of 1998. So that one states that identity theft is a federal crime and is punishable by up to 15 years in prison. Then the Graham-Leach-Bliley Act 6 requires financial institutions to provide non-public to protect customers' non-public information and give them notice about what they do and do not do with your information, how they store your data. You can usually ask to be opted out of information being shared. Our particular credit union, we don't share your information with third parties. That's a best practice, I think, in the industry. But sometimes you do get some that will share your info. So be cognizant of that. Make sure that you're asking those questions of your various institutions, medical, financial, and so forth. Um, every consumer who's been affected or has been affected by identity theft, you have rights too that include the right to file an identity theft report with the FTC or Federal Trade Commission. Um, I never did that when when I got my identity stolen, but I did place a freeze on my credit, and I did get a police report just in case like something comes back and I get sued. I can say, no, I passed that, or I filed that police report saying this is not me offering these, fraudulent properties for sale. Um, you can place a 1-year fraud alert on your identity. Get copies of your credit report, and then of course any incorrect information you see on that credit report, have it removed. And next, fixing identity if you are unfortunately find out that your identity was stolen, what do you do? You know, it's how do you get that back? How do you get that part of your life back? And it is a process. I'm still going through it. You want to make sure though that you're collecting all of your financial information, review all of your accounts, make sure that you recognize all the charges. If you have like a 401k, for instance, make sure nobody tried to take some of it out. Um, report to the Federal Trade Commission, report to fraud departments at your financial institutions, and do a police report. Then if there is damage on your credit report, start to repair that damage by placing like disputes with like TransUnion and Experian and the different credit bureaus. Any questions at this time?
So we do have just one question in the chat here, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up. Folks, if you have any last minute burning questions to get in here in the last couple minutes, just go ahead and send them our way. But we did have one person ask, is it necessary to subscribe to LifeLock?
It's not necessary. You can review your own credit. If you suspect that you've been a victim of identity theft, it might be a good idea to do a service like LifeLock. That's not the only one, but you don't have to spend money to protect your identity. It's just a matter of being diligent and looking over. If you do online banking, look at your transactions regularly. Even if you haven't recently done a transaction, just pull it up once a week at least, and make sure that you recognize everything. When your 401k sends the statement to your house, or if you access that information online, take a look at that every couple of months. Make sure that it says what it's supposed to. And basically, that's what LifeLock does. Um, they review that information for you.
Thank you. We'll just do one more question here. How do you protect the deed to property that you may own?
That's a good question.
That is a good question. I don't actually have an answer for that one either right now, but I will look into that.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that.
That is Joan asking that, or I'm sorry, Joanne asking that question. So we'll follow up with you, Joanne.
I mean, there's always like tax information is not readily available outside of professional settings. Don't give your personal information out as much as possible. And if someone if you're not getting a tax bill, that might be a sign that somebody has changed the deed information. It's not easy to change that information though. But yeah, we'll have to look a little further into that and give you a better answer.
Thank you. In the interest of time, I'm gonna wrap up here. Sarah, if you don't mind just going forward in the presentation to the last screen, we'll go ahead and get this QR code up for you folks to check out future programming. But please join me in thanking Jessie and Sarah for both their time and expertise throughout today's program. We cannot thank you and Consumers Credit Union enough for your assistance in bringing applicable financial programming to our alumni. Our next program will be Credit Scores and Reports at 12 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, October 8th. Please keep your eyes on your emails as we'll be sending up a follow-up email that will include a link to today's presentation, the presenter guide, if you'd like to follow along there. It will also include information on our next sessions and opportunities to connect with Jessie and Sarah and consumers. Please also remember that as Grand Valley alumni, our commitment to you is as a Laker for a lifetime. With that, we'll always be alongside you and all of our alumni, ready to help you reach your next goals. No matter what stage of your life or career, you can turn to our office for a lifetime of support. With this in mind, you can find additional resources and future event information by checking out our website at gvsu.edu/alumni, and we hope to see you again in a couple weeks. Thank you for joining us.